My, that sure looks tasty. What the hell is it? It looks like a stomach or something. Check out that membrane. You pinch yourself. Red light. This is not good. Apparently some or all of the intermix element in fuel tank 3 was disgorged during your heinous venous joyride. That's not all that was disgorged, but we'll skip the details. Wow, that's some interesting-looking stuff you've got collected in the engine intake. Looks like a small collection of blood capillaries. It's alveoli, but it reminds you of spaghetti. You're treading on the fundus, a broad expanse of tissue covering the outside of the stomach. For some reason, doing so gives you the feeling of being a one-man army. After all, an army does travel on its stomach.
Oh, that looks real nice. I don't know what that big round thing is. I'm a janitor, damn it, not a doctor.
You recognize that festering, infected crevice. As if Stellar didn't already have enough to worry about, she's got an ulcer. And it's not just an ulcer, it's puckered. It's a peptic ulcer. A feather? When, rather, if you get the chance, you'll have to quiz Stellar about her dietary habits. How odd! A bent staple. Thus far it has resisted being dissolved by the stomach's acids, probably because of its location and Stellar's apparent lack of oral nourishment during her captivity. The acid probably hasn't risen high enough since this item found its way in here. What in the hell was she doing eating a staple anyway? Maybe it was some fad diet thing in the Galactic Inquirer. Dang, these look tasty. Boy, that micro-Prozac she inhaled slowed her systems down to a crawl. These things haven't been touched by stomach acid yet. You acquire a candy.
I already have one.
Loosely woven into the stomach lining is a piece of celery string. That stuff could be used to make steel-belted radial tires stronger. Rumor has it that it was the original inspiration for dental floss. I think I saw that on one of those James Burke shows. As do most computer game characters who find themselves in sequels of sequels, you stop the action to reflect on your past exploits. You realize you spent a lot of time looking at the contents of your own stomach. But this is the first time you've gotten such a good look at a pool of someone else's potential discharge. The pools are deceptively still and shallow. They look harmless, but they're seething with pepsin and hydrochloric acid, a chemical brew of protein-dissolving, bacteria-destroying glop, strong enough to dissolve almost anything, especially organic life forms like yourself. In this galaxy, it's the bundle of capillaries you... That's your makeshift grappling hook. The inside of Stellar's tummy is slippery, mostly because of the mucus secreted by the stomach lining, and there are a few pockmarks here and there, but when push comes to shove, this is the most beautiful stomach you've ever been in. There's just this one thing. Those little robots are the nanites sent down to aid in taking over Stellar's body. They look like guard nanites. But then, for all you know, they could be ballerina nanites. A cluster of stomach acid-shy nanites is lurking near the entrance to the duodenum. They know all the cool places to hang out. Interesting. The acid rises, but just not quite high enough to submerge those nanites. You acquire a candy. Interesting. The acid rises, but just not quite high enough to submerge those nanites. Interesting. The acid... You acquire a candy. Interesting. The acid rises, but just not quite high enough to submerge those nanites. It probably seemed like a good idea to... It probably seemed... The inside of Stellar's tummy is slippery, mostly because of the mucus secreted by the stomach lining, and there are a few pockmarks here and there, but when push comes to shove, this is the most beautiful stomach you've ever been in. There's just this one thing. Those little robots are the nanites sent down to aid in taking over Stellar's body. But then, for all you know, they could be ballerina nanites.
Nice shot!
A large hunk of twinkoid cake food product is hanging just below her epiglottis. It appears to have gotten jammed on the way to her stomach for digestion. Doesn't this woman chew? It feels Now, let's see. Although we could let you do a macho Tarzan swing, fall down, and make a complete fool of yourself, we would advise you to go back down and climb up the old way. This is the upper area of the duodenum. Matter preprocessed from the stomach enters here through the pylorus above. It has a lovely bile-colored decor, and for a very good reason. This is the area in which raw processed ingestibles are mixed with a variety of secretions for further breakdown. This looks like the center section of the duodenum. It has that same lovely bile-green brilliance. Ah, the old ampulla of Vater, surrounded by the sphincter of Adi. Didn't you always wonder what it looked like? The bile slick seems to be a little fresher there. Welcome to the heart of the bile belt. This is indeed Spew Central. At this location, secretions from the liver, gallbladder, and pancreas merge to form a duodenal delight, guaranteed to break down almost anything the stomach doesn't. The common bile duct runs up from here. You actually don't need to wear your helmet while traipsing around inside Stellar. No tour of the duodenum would be complete without this unique outside view. Wow, check out all that bile. Looks like her liver's been doing just fine. That's a pool of bile any liver would be proud of. You sure can't speak highly of its aroma. If I'm not mistaken, and I seldom am, that's the mucosa, or inner lining of the gallbladder. It helps make the bile even more vile by absorbing spare water content. It's the bundle of capillaries you appropriated from Stellar. You cleverly taped the capillaries together. It's a bottle of morphine, which you thought was actually morphine. Die. It's the pump you retrieved from the shuttle trunk. It reminds you of one of those hand pumps you use when the astrohead plugs up. Nice work! You've hooked up your makeshift hose to the pump. In this galaxy... Careful. You chuck one of the taped capillaries over the muscular ledge. It drops into the pool. You give the pump a stroke or two, and in the process gather a nice helmet load of bile. I guess congratulations are in order. Don't touch that. You've got plenty of that stuff. Or did you want to take some home to Mom? The gallstone is wedged in the bile duct, and that's just a fine place for it. Nice gallstone collection. You don't need any more stones, at least not that kind. This is the main pancreatic duct. It appears that there's some blockage toward the tail of the pancreas. It definitely gets a bit snug. Seems to be a buildup of cholesterol arterial plaque. This is the main pancreas. You're the first one on your block to actually possess someone else's alveoli.
Hey, that's me.
A nice pool of pancreatic secretions made up of insulin and glucagon fill the bottom of the islands of Langerhans. You maneuver your helmet beneath the drip and manage to snag a nice little dollop of the stuff. This looks like the center section of the duodenum. It has that same lovely bile green brilliance. That's the pylorus. That muscle has the final say over who makes it out of the stomach and into the duodenum. This is the place where the duodenum meets the small intestine. The mixture of food, acids, bile, and enzymes move on from here and pass over the villi, where nutrients are absorbed into the bloodstream. It's a fascinating place, wouldn't you say? This is the very bottom of our old friend, the duodenum. You can see the beginning of the jejunum. The villi start here. They increase the surface area of the small intestine a great deal, giving more area to absorb nutrients. All in all, it just looks like a French tickler turned inside out to me.
A what?
Never mind, it's not important. And here we have the islands of Langerhans. They're a big deal here in the pancreas. Apparently, they play an important part in introducing hormones to the blood system, as well as adding an enzyme which, when joined with the bile secretion from the gallbladder, forms some kind of spew that breaks down stuff the stomach acids don't. Fats, and that kind of thing. Not only that, but some cells release insulin and others release glucagon to counter the insulin. It even offers up a bicarbonate to counteract the stomach's acid. All in all, it's a pretty strange and busy organ.
It just looks like a uvula warehouse to me.
Despite the overwhelming urge to play Rocky with these cute little dangly things, you are wise enough to realize that you must inflict as little damage as possible to Stellar's interior. You look at it, but nothing strikes your fancy. It's one of those tiny timed-release pills. As I recall, these are designed to not melt down and release their medicines until they've gotten to an area past the stomach. Boy, wouldn't it be cool if that really worked? Boy, it probably seems... You now own one of those tiny timed-release pills. You now own one of those tiny timed-release pills. You now... It's one of those neat little time-release time pills. You now...